Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope we're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. In this video today, I'm going over the EVERCADE VSR controller. This is a retro style pad, but made for a new console. This console's been made to play retro games. But the reason specifically why I bought this pad is number one, because I love controllers. You may have realized that on the channel. I mainly purchase 6-button fight pads, but this pad really caught my eye because of its design and because of the D-pad. It has a Sega Saturn style D-pad, but it has sort of sharper edges. It has less of a curve as well, which caught my eye. So I really wanted to see what the D-pad was like, mainly because I'm tempted to transplant this D-pad onto some of my fight pads. So some of the 6-button fight pads I've got one here, the monstrosity that is the Octa Pro. You can see I've transplanted the Sega Saturn D-pad to this pad. So I wanted to do something similar, but using this D-pad, because I do feel this is better ever so slightly than the Saturn D-pad. So I wanted to try that out. So yes, in this video, we'll talk about this pad, we'll test it out, but we'll also test this D-pad out and see if it is good for fighting games and will I transfer it to one of my fight pads. So the design of this pad, it has a retro look to it. It's square with rounded edges, dips outward at each side, so it doesn't have handles that like accentuate the grip on the sides, but it does have bigger edges there on each side, which is nice. Saturn D-pad we spoke about, so the best D-pad style in my opinion of all the retro controllers. It's a 4-button pad, but look on the top, it's got 4 shoulder buttons, which is really cool. L1, L2, and R1, R2, very nice. It is wired, it's not wireless, and it is USB. The design of it has a Sega Master System sort of look to it, and it has this gloss finish, so it has this real individual style, and that's what caught my eye. This is already sort of getting marked. It's very easy to mark it. Greasy fingers, scratches on it. It will get scratched the more I use this pad, but I love the gloss finish. It's really nice. It's that again caught my eye when I saw it. I love the presentation of it. It doesn't have switches, they're just normal membrane type buttons. These are a little stiff, the face buttons. You look at the face buttons as well, they've got like a gloss finish. So the actual lettering is quite low down in the actual button. And then it has this like glass or plastic finish on the top, but it looks pretty cool. I do like that. They don't light up or anything. It looks really nice. But yeah, membrane buttons are quite stiff actually to press, which is good in some ways because you're not going to get accidental button presses. Nice sound, nice feedback, but they do feel quite stiff. I probably need to use it a bit more to loosen it up. Shoulder buttons, super clicky. Very clicky and noisy. Don't know if you can hear it. The mic doesn't normally pick up the buttons too well, but very clicky. But they are small. I will say that. I'm not a big fan of the actual thickness of them. The rear buttons are better. R2, L2, R2, but the front ones are really small. So I don't really like that, and they're very close. So it'd be very easy to mispress and get the wrong ones. But it has 4 shoulder buttons on a retro style pad. I love that. Flipping it over, not much on the back. It has information. It has the company name, Blaze Entertainment. They're a UK company, I believe. And it's not just the pads they make the console. There's a home system console and there's a handheld console as well. And this is the controller that's used for that console. So let's plug it in and see how it feels in-game. So let's try this controller on my favorite game, Street Fighter 6. Now I will mention that I play Street Fighter 6 on a 6-button fight pad, so this would never be a layout I would use for Street Fighter 6 particularly. It's a 4-button controller. I mentioned these shoulder buttons are tiny, but what I will also point out is these buttons are super close together. Whilst the buttons should be close, I think this is way too close for a fighting game, even maybe retro games in general. I feel like the spacing should be a bit more between all of the buttons. Could even sneak in two extra buttons here to make it a 6-button pad. Why not? Why not? Just do it. Just do it. But yeah, the pad feels nice. There's not much to hold on to. It's very thin, but it feels great. The buttons, as I mentioned earlier, it's a nice feedback and press to them. Doing combos on this pad may be challenging because this is not a layout I would normally use. I don't even know how I'd even do this combo on this pad. There we go, something like that. But what does shine about this pad for me is the D-pad. The motion inputs are clean, so clean. A bit more difficult on this side. I think that's because of the shape of the controller. Like doing a quarter circle back doesn't feel great. But if you press in to the D-pad, the thing with the D-pad is you can feel exactly where your thumb is. And the ridges, they're not too big on like the up, down, left, right, but they're big enough to know when you're touching it. And my issue with the Saturn D-pad, if I get this control pad out, it is an issue with this controller as well. But sometimes you feel like you're on the back or the forward or the down. You're doing your quarter circle inputs, especially for super, where you're churning sort of quarter circle forward, quarter circle forward. And even though I feel like I'm pressing right, I don't actually press it in game and I don't get that final input to get the super. Whereas on this, it does feel better. I do think this is a better D-pad because it's sharper on the edges, meaning you can really feel where you've tapped the edge of the directional input, if that makes sense. So doing something like super, I can feel exactly where my thumb is during that motion input. And I knew that would be the case looking at this pad when I saw it online. So Tekken 8 is another fighting game that I play, and the layout, the 4 buttons, is perfect for Tekken because I only use these 4 face buttons. I don't need additional face buttons. So this pad is perfect for Tekken in terms of the D-pad feeling great and the button layout. So the D-pad is exactly the same as Street Fighter. It feels very responsive. I know where I am. I'm very confident in my movements on this controller. Doing combos as well feels amazing. It's really nice on this pad for Tekken because I can get those down forward inputs, those quarter circle inputs where I need them when I'm playing Tekken. There are some pads when I play Tekken where it feels almost impossible to get those clean inputs or it's very difficult. With this pad, I feel very comfortable. Doing things like slide, really easy as well. Slide's not a difficult input, but it can be awkward on some controllers. If you know Tekken, then DSS, even though it's super easy in this game, the DSS transitions are very easy on this D-pad. Season 2 combos, I think this is a Season 2 combo. Yeah. There we go. Really nice. It feels really good. I think if I came back to Tekken and I was playing this game seriously, I would definitely give this controller a go on this game. And I mentioned about the buttons being close. Playing claw, as I am now on Tekken, this feels much better. Less movement from button to button. And I don't feel like it's an issue in terms of pressing them at the same time. I more have issues with pressing buttons at the same time when I use my thumb, because my thumb's overlapping a number of buttons when I'm pressing each one. There's a chance that you can press multiple at the same time. And as I mentioned, them being so close, Street Fighter at least, and playing with my thumb like this feels worse, but it actually feels pretty good in Tekken. I like it. So playing this game on Streets of Rage 2, an actual retro game from the Mega Drive / Genesis, this feels perfect. This is what this pad is built for. It's built for those older games. I would say that you could probably play some PlayStation 1 era games because the controller, it doesn't have any analog sticks. So you're not going to be playing any games that support analog, 3D games, first-person shooters that use the analog. You're not going to be able to do that on this controller. But something like this, something that only had D-pad support, 3D games that use the D-pad, you'd be able to use this controller for those types of games. This feels great. It just takes me back to being a young child many years ago playing these games on this pad. Playing this game specifically though, the 4-button layout, you do notice, the lack of those 2 extra buttons. You definitely feel, but looking at the game list for the EVERCADE, it does have a lot of PlayStation 1 games from what I've seen. I saw Tomb Raider on the website. It's like the first game listed. So it's probably not geared at like old school games like Streets of Rage, for example. That doesn't mean you can't play it. There's no issue with playing this. Like the SNES that had the 4 buttons on the face of the pad and then the 2 shoulder buttons. It was just the Mega Drive that had the 6 buttons and the Sega Saturn. Sega really tapped into that. But that was what I was used to growing up and playing. So this was good. I like it. Feels amazing. I really do like this controller. Like I said, I think for me, the main thing for the controller, as I mentioned, was the design. I think it looks so cool. Like when the kids saw it, they lost their mind. They were like, whoa, that control pad is so sick, Dad. Really cool. And the D-pad, to be used on my fighting game journey, modifying these controllers and trying to find like the perfect D-pad. That's another reason why I bought it. But it doesn't mean that it's not a good controller because it is built for a specific console. You will need an adapter to use this pad on, say, your PlayStation or your Xbox. I don't know if you'd want to go that far with this pad. I can't imagine anyone rocking up to a Tekken 8 tournament with this pad. But it doesn't mean you can't do it. There's no reason why you couldn't. But yeah, you'd need an adapter for that. But yeah, for retro gaming, for PC gaming where you've got like old school games, this is perfect. Really nice. So yeah, it's a lovely controller. If you're looking for a pad for your retro gaming, specifically if you're on PC, then I recommend it. It's got the 4 base buttons, got the 4 shoulder buttons, and a lovely D-pad. The only thing I can't really comment on is the longevity of the pad. I don't know how long it will last in terms of quality. It is a cheap control pad. I purchased it for just over £20 on Amazon. And also the polling rate. I was able to connect to my application to check the polling rate, but because there's no analog stick, I couldn't actually measure the polling rate. But given it's built for like retro gaming, I can't imagine the polling rate will be super high. That is it for the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Any questions or any queries, as always, give me a shout, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.